So you're coming up towards your retirement.
I am. It's been a long journey. I've got a month to go. 4th of July.
4th of July.
Yeah, which is Independence Day in America, I believe. But yeah, that's the day I finish up. Big fireworks, hopefully.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, how did you get into the technology field?
I've been in for a long time. I've been probably 45 years, public service. I was young and I joined the Department of Housing and Construction /Works /Construction /Transport. So it's been a lot of renaming. And I was a senior computer operator at that stage. I worked in that position for about 12 months. Then I got seconded to the role as regional operations manager. Then I was promoted to that role. So I was basically looking after data processing operators as well as computer operators. At that stage, we worked on ICL 2903s, which were a removable disk-based system, and tape-based data processing machines and card-based data processing machines. And the main frame was an IBM 1603, which was tape-based again. So basically, if we did a end of month, it would take about 10 hours to do on tapes.
Really?
Yeah. So this is for the Vic Tas region, that role. So yeah, I was in there for that period of time. And I mainly dealt with third-party clients dealing with new software products and purchasing. So that was a good role for me, and it lasted for, I'm trying to think, must have been about 15 years I was there.
Okay. Wow.
Then from then, I got a job at a company called Tech Rentals. Tech Rentals was based in Ringwood. They've expanded now, but at that stage, I was a product manager dealing with such things as Compaq, IBM, and Apple Macintosh. And I go back because what Tech Rentals used to do was rent out desktops. And they had an instrument division as well called Almesco, but I was on the PC side. So we used to rent out notebooks and desktops for training sessions, for like Australian Grand Prix Corp was our major client.
Oh, wow.
So when I joined, the IBM XT had just been released. And that was an XT again, IBM. It was 7,500 when it came in. We rented them out to a major client for 5 years. We had 15 of them with the client, and they were renting out at $2,500 each per month.
Oh, okay, wow.
Then the client realised after 5 years that maybe we're still being billed for this. Maybe we should stop it.
Yeah.
Story.
Gosh.
Then the 286 was released, and that was a Compaq. This is when Compaq was an American company. We bought them over from America to here. Then the 386. The 386, I remember it came in, I think it was 13,900 to purchase it. And we were renting them about 4,000 a month.
Yeah. And back then, what was the processing power like?
Slow. Well, the hard disk capacity, I think, was probably 500 meg.
Oh, wow. Now, these days, we're looking at 500 terabytes.
Yeah, well, going back to the public service days, that ICL 2903, that was 256 megabyte.
Oh, wow. No wonder it took 10 hours.
Yeah, so that was fascinating. But yeah, they were good. We used to rent out a hell of a lot of machines. And that was the time a company called Imagineering came in. And they were the first company to release third-party PCs.
Yeah.
So we had the top of the range. Again, was IBM, Compaq, and Apple. And they came in and created a bit of pressure on the sales team to actually get more jobs and more dollars out of the product. Well, an interesting thing with that too, because when the machines were superseded, I was given an IBM XT and didn't think much of it, and it sat in the back room. And they gave me an Apple Portable. Yep. And the Apple Portable, I think for that stage, was the first release. It was about 14 kilos.
Really? And that was portable?
Portable, yeah. It was. They were like the Compaq had a portable which was about 13 kilos. Yeah. Anyway, this Apple one, so at the one stage, I said, look, you might as well keep one because it's not superseded and happy if you take one with you. So I had it for a few years, thought it was great, and I threw it away. 2 weeks ago, I heard that one of the puts off at 905,000.
Really?
905,000. I couldn't believe it. Man, where do I throw this thing? So that was the technology around then. And the IBM XT was worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it was just something that I thought, okay, it's really not worth keeping. Technology's changed, things are getting quicker. And again, you had the IBM, I think it was, so the operating Windows 3.1, I got into colour and that blew everybody away. Yep. And you think you're so far behind technology now. But yeah, so that was a really interesting time for me. And I was in there for probably 20 odd years.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and with the Grand Prix Corp, they used to rent the machines for 6 months. And people used to think that was amazing because you'd have the race go for 3 days or 4 days.
Yeah.
But they got the machines in notebooks 2 months before the race, kept them for 4 months after the race. And they were basically at that stage when I was doing the job, they were press coming from overseas because they're so heavy, the machines. Yeah. They'd come over and rent them out from us.
I suppose that's maybe cheaper and safer.
Yes, something of that nature. Yeah. But anyway, look, that was good. That was a period of time where I used to love the race until that weekend, and I was on standby if something went wrong. Yeah. So if the electronics went down, I had to get something back in. So the only time I could actually relax was when the race was finished and think, hey, okay, everything went smoothly, no issues. Yeah. Yeah. So that was from there. I went to the other thing I should say with tech rentals. There's a group of us set up a fund for Indigenous kids to raise funds for footballs and Guernseys for kids in the Northern Territory.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so our little area head was called Fifth Quarter, and we used to get guests over, raise funds, and then those funds would be to give kids who couldn't afford footy boots or clothing the utensils to actually play the game. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah. From there, I became a business development manager in a company called Eastern Trees. Yeah. And I was there for about 2 years. And from then, I went into AiS.
How'd you get into AiS?
Friendship with John McGuinness.
Oh, really?
That's a true story. So I was actually used to see John at the gym train, and I used to, at that stage, train fairly keenly. And
back when you were competing in body sculpting,
all that type of thing. Yeah, a lot of years ago. And John rang me a couple of times. He rang me one day and he said, "Do you want to come and have a chat?" I was like, okay. So we went and had a chat, and he said, "Would you be interested in joining the company?" As I was winding down at that stage, and I said, "Look, I know nothing about it, John." He said, "Yeah, but you've got a selling skill, and I'm sure we can teach you the art of microscopy, and we've got a few good people that currently work with us." And that's how that all started. So from down the track, John put me on, and
Just quickly touching on the gym thing. I know that our other service technician, Bruce, he met John through the gym as well, didn't he?
Correct.
Yeah. Did he hire anybody else from the gym, or was it just the two of you?
Well, I actually think, he got his driver that takes him to the airport and that from the gym. Wow. Maurice was from the gym. Wow. Who did his or does his books. Yeah. And Jen was a neighbour.
Wow. Okay.
So yes, it's all sort of a business issue, I suppose. But yeah, that was a true story. So John got a lot of contacts with that, and but he just he went through the process of what I'd done through my background and thought maybe would fit in with AiS. Yeah. And it was bloody hard when I started because I knew nothing about microscopy.
Huge learning curve, right?
It was. Well, they had James Mack, who was from Modic, who actually came from Hong Kong down there. John employed him. Okay. And he took me through the process, and I'm thinking he's talking about objectives and phase and a range of it. And I'm thinking, what the hell are you talking about? And I've got to sell this. Yeah. And I've got no other salesperson. Yep. And at that stage, I was on the other side of the business, the healthcare side, which John also owned, which which was called Haycomp.
Yeah.
So I was sort of trying to work between both businesses. Then within a short period, James Mack resigned.
Yeah.
They lost a few technicians.
Yep.
And then it was thrown under me. And that was probably the best thing that happened to me.
Yep. Really throw you into the deep end there.
Well, you had to learn.
Yeah.
Then you made mistakes, and people are pretty forgiving.
Yeah.
And one of the things that John had at that stage, I think it was one of these books, which was his catalogue, and that was a Bible. That rescued me so many times.
All the info's all there.
Well, it was pictures, so I knew what the microscope looked like.
Yeah, yeah.
It gave me a configuration, so I got through and I wow, I survived this. Then you get, can you do a quote on phase contrast? I'm thinking, oh, how am I going to do that? And there were so many parts.
Yeah.
And this MA-11.010.024.056.1, I'm thinking, how am I going to learn this?
Yeah.
And there was like thousands of part numbers.
Yep.
But you got to piece it together after a period of time. You've got to understand, okay, these are linked to a particular model. And some did cross over to 2 or 3 models. So, yeah, that was hard, but it was an interesting time for me, and I got there. I think I got there. I'm still here, so been lucky.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a great time. John was probably the most knowledgeable man you'd ever meet on microscopy.
Oh, yeah.
And you know yourself, James.
Yeah, I still ask him questions all the time. So
yeah, he was a very well respected in the industry and did know his product, and he was brilliant to watch if he actually showed something. I went a couple of jobs with him in Melbourne Uni, and he was fantastic. Yeah. I think he sold the first big digital setup at Sydney University.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was some years ago, and got an award, fairly significant award for that. So yeah. Wow.
Rest of him. I was wondering, how did COVID affect the business?
Terribly.
Yeah.
Terribly. If you understand the business, and it has changed with the new ownership to with John, but the basis of the business with John was education. So when I say education, I mean education/university. Yeah. So, 90% of the dollars were coming from that industry. And that's not just selling, that's also servicing. When COVID hit, and don't forget we're in Victoria, so we were shut down for a hell of a long time.
Full on nanny state.
Yeah. All the buying power had gone. Yeah. Schools you couldn't contact because they weren't there because they were all isolated. Servicing, you couldn't go to college to service equipment. So we're working, I think, 2 days a week and still trying to maintain the business. So we'd have 3 days off and 2 days on, and you couldn't quote anybody because schools weren't taking equipment in. And I know that Motic had trouble supplying as well because they got pretty hard hit. The world got hard hit. They didn't know how to control the that particular virus. So for us, it was a shocking impact. It was probably nearly killed the business.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you recall, I think that it was probably only a year and a half after John sold it. Now, that may have been because I'm not really sure. But we did suffer a fair bit from that, and it was pretty hard getting dollars out the door and probably out the door. And so. But we survived. Then, that was what happened. Then the new era came where new management came in.
Yeah. So how was the new management or the new ownership affected AiS as a business?
I think the things I'll put a few notes down because I'm just trying to put the mind on this one. One of the big factors with the ownership is probably the client. I think what they're trying to do is change the client base. Where John heavily focused on education, and rightly so, which we still do now. Yeah. And it's bread and butter of the industry. I think the new management's trying to say, okay, look, maybe we get into the mining areas, life sciences, being pathology, and into engineering. Yeah. So the style of microscopes are different. Yep. And one of the issues previously with when we got those inquiries when John had the business, and it was not John's fault at all. He provided machines or microscopes for education. Yep. Here, when we got a quote, and I sent out quotes for 386s to 486s, high-end microscopes. We had to order them in. It would take 6 months to get them or 3 months to get them. Some have to be made up. They could be a polarizing microscope. They could be phase.
Some of these custom
you've got
setups.
gemology microscopes.
Yeah.
What the company's done at the moment, geared by Andrew, is to try to bring in have a lot of product on hand. And that's by the demand of the client. Yep. So, when the new company joined and you were just new in the business as well, some of the things are brought up, no, we need to have product on hand. Yeah. Instead of saying, we've got somebody really keen, we're going to place an order, but you've got to wait for 3 months. Yeah. They thought, okay, we won't do that. We're going to try to have product in. It's taken some time. I mean, Baker's got to trust the new client. You've got to be sure you can spend, and you've got to be able to move the product in as well as buy new product in. Yeah. So at the moment, it's running fairly strongly, and I think that's where it's changed. The direction for the company is to go for the higher end branded microscopes. And that will change. I think even if you look at the higher end, I think I look at 386, 486. Now we've got the Panthera range coming in. Yeah. And I think the Panthera range will end up taking over. Yeah, taking over like the 310. The 310. Did I say 386 before? I probably did. Yeah, I think you did. I was going back to computers. Yeah, the 310 and the 410. Yeah. And I think that's what happened there. I think that's where they're at. So that the Panthera range will probably take that over. Yep, makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, they're the feature-packed range. Right. Where do you see the company going in the future? I think there's going to be 3 major products. I think the EasyScan, which you deal with, and you'll probably, which if the guys don't know, James actually is a head guy on the EasyScan in Australia, and you work for Motic with that. Oh, in terms of service and support, you're the only person that knows how to pull one apart and put it back together again, if I understand. Yes. So I think the EasyScans with the pathology scan is going to be massive. You can have 60 to 300 slides in an automated process. Yeah. I think pricey, but good value compared to the higher end brands. Yeah, in the field, it has its perks in that it's a simpler machine, which makes it more robust and efficient, and that's the key selling point there. And it's more affordable. If you just want to get through a whole heap of slides ready for analysis, literally anywhere in the world, as long as you can upload the images and someone can access them, you can get through hundreds and hundreds of slides. Yeah. And it's a powerhouse. It'll just keep running. It's going to save lives too, that process. Yeah, exactly. Next product, I would think, I haven't seen one. I watched the video. Is the Easy Zoom, and that is a 3D handheld microscope. Okay. And its magnification, if I recall, from 50 times to 5,800 times. Amazing piece of equipment. Yeah. I think it's about the $100,000 mark. It's not going to be for everybody. I was going to say, when you said kind of magnification, you'd think it's going to be in the... But that is a process of going down. That's something that you can actually take it off a stand and actually look at something in high definition with a high quality image. It looks amazing. Sounds incredible. And the digital classroom, I think when they first came out, and I think Sydney Uni had them, we set one up in Melbourne, but the new ones are totally wireless. So how this works is you've got a range, I think it's between 6 and 64 units you can have. Now, what the microscopes have an inbuilt camera, and the way you access the camera is by a QR code. So you'll have a teaching microscope with a screen. You have students around. They can use whatever they want. They can have an iPad, an iPhone, an Android tablet, or an Android phone. And what happens is that the teacher will be looking at the student scanning in. He can choose to see. One student might say, okay, he's scanning. You can see he's looking at the wrong area, and he might say to the student, you're looking in the A zone, you need to go to the B zone. So you can actually identify if he's not looking at the right item.
Yeah.
If he struck something, he thinks, wow, that's brilliant, then the teaching microscope can get that slide and show every other student. You can throw it onto every other student's iPad or device and say, have a look at this. This is what we've got that James has just zoomed onto. And yeah, so that's pretty much what they do. If they come and say, okay, this is great, I want you now to get an image of what you've got on your slide, what they've got on the microscope, it's just a matter of actually picking up the iPad or the iPhone, the device they've got, and scanning the QR code.
That just sounds
super easy. It then is an image straight onto that device.
Yep.
That's where it's all going to head. So the smallest setup, I think, is 6 up to 60. And it's all wireless, done by a router.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's where I think it is. The other thing where the industry is going, I think at the moment, is the first time in the history since I've been with AiS, we've almost got a stock take sale now because we've got so much stock. So we've got a range of items that we can do great prices on. 280, the BA 210s, 310s, the BA 80 range.
Yep.
Some great pricing at the moment on that. And that's just come out. We've got a brochure on that going through.
Yeah, awesome. I have one final question. As you're coming up to your retirement, are there any things that you wish you could have done or areas you wish you could have worked with in your time with AiS?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Thinking about that. Good question. Yeah, going to universities and seeing how they operate and doing a few setups, which I've done. Love to have worked in the university. I think that would be fascinating. Brilliant place, great students, and a great environment. Yep. And probably schools the same. I've done a lot of visits to schools. I think that'd be a really nice interest in working. Be able to help younger people out. Yeah. And let that skill set to help people. So yeah, that was something I would have liked to have done. Too late now, of course. Or should you say never too late? No, that was something that I really enjoyed. And I've also enjoyed working with our resellers as well. They've been a great bunch of people. Yeah. It's made my job a lot easier because they produce some pretty good orders.
All right. Gosh, I think that brings us to the end. It's I haven't known you for all that long. I haven't been here for all that long, but it's been great working with you. You helped me so much.
Brilliant. Oh, James, so have you. And I think you are the head of the industry now because I think you are the number one in technology. With Amar coming on board, I think the team stands to be really strong, and we're going forward. So I think at the moment it's got a pretty bright future for servicing and for selling. Yeah. And thanks for the interview, James.
No worries.
Yeah, I'd like to just thank everybody for tuning in. The lab techs, lab assistants, teachers, and industry for making this journey at AiS memorable and enjoyable. Thank you all, and I've got another couple of weeks to go. So thanks again for tuning in, and hope everybody's enjoyed the product that AiS carries. And if I can help in any way in the next 2 weeks, I'll be glad to. Thank you very much. Bye.